With your permission, my 3 minutes for Jim Moore, who has some slides to share that will take longer than his allotted 3-minute time.
All right, go.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Jim Moore. I've lived here in Cupertino for over 40 years. Again, it's a pleasure to be here in front of you and have an opportunity to speak about something that you've already received an email from a group of us in regards to what's taking place at Vallco as far as them not honoring the easements that were granted by the city of Cupertino. And what I wanted to do is go through some of the visuals that were part of that email that was sent yesterday morning, alerting the city council, city manager, and the city attorney on what Vallco is doing with the bridge and also with the loop road. And both of those are easements that were granted by the city. First of all, this is an artistic visualization of the bridge over N Wolfe Road. The artist did a wonderful job. It's a beautiful bridge. I think it rivals the appearance of our pedestrian bridge, which I think is really a landmark for Cupertino. When I first saw this, and this has been out there for about a year, I thought that's a beautiful bridge for residents, for us, for the people that live here in Cupertino. I was shocked to learn that that's not our bridge anymore. That's for the residents that will be living at the Vallco Town Center, the one that's being built under the auspices of SB 35. That was retail for our use, going from Macy's over to JCPenney. That's now going to be for residential use, their residents, and not for us. We'll get to see that when we go under that bridge when we're traveling on N Wolfe Road. The point is for this presentation here is that the Vallco folks don't have permission to use that bridge as residential. It was retail as far as the easement, and that's why it stayed retail for about 25 years when we traveled from Macy's over to JCPenney. Here's an architect drawing of the actual bridge from an architect standpoint, and it shows what easements are allocated to that bridge. And if you look at the easement that was granted, and easements are granted by the city, especially for this one, because this bridge actually goes over a city-owned street. It's a public street. It's owned by the city. And for anyone to build, you or I or anyone to build something over a street, we have to get an easement. And the thing about this particular easement that was granted by the city years and years ago, I think it was like 1975, is it says that that easement grants you the right to use this bridge for retail uses, not for residential. And that's key. And this is the actual easement that was recorded. All the easements are recorded with the Santa Clara County Clerk Recorder, and they're dated and stamped and have all the signatures of the people that made that agreement. And that's still in existence today. That easement was never removed. It was never changed. It's the easement that exists today for that bridge. Okay. Here's another architect drawing from Vallco, and it shows the bridge, and there's 4 levels, but 2 of them are kind of there because of the 15-foot regulation that says that if you have a ceiling that's over 15 feet high, you can count another level, and you can count that square footage, and you get to put that into the total. And it's very interesting, but they only have 2 usable levels, but they're going to count 4 as residential space. And they have a table that's part of the application package, again, been there for years and years. I don't know if you can read the actual table, but underneath it talks about the fact that that residential use, their residence use, not ours, is about 73,000 or 78,000 square feet. Very large amount, 1 3/4 acres of space there that will be for their residents. At this point in time, I have no idea if we'll even get to walk through or go see it or whatever. They may have an open house. But the easement that was granted by the city doesn't allow them to use it for residential, and that's what they plan to use it for. And that needs to be stopped. And as I understand it, it's something that the city has to take action on and not something that the citizens can do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for keeping to the 6 minutes. Now we have Ignatius Ding, followed by Anjali Kauser, followed by Kitty Moore. Welcome, Ignatius.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, city manager. I'm Ignatius Ding, 42 years resident in Cupertino. This is just a follow-up to Jim's presentation regarding this easement thing. So first point, I want to just remind everyone, a number of residents have sent emails and letters to the council and city manager and city attorneys regarding this matter. Tonight, I want to address the process in general. That's the second point. The city need establish or revise process for managing city easements, right-of-way, and public property. Because the Vallco's case is very obvious. We have a broken or lack of process for management easement. The property, public property owned by the city is very valuable, not only in terms of dollars. For example, in the Vallco case, property involved tens of millions being given away, but also the public property need to be kept in record for public use. Once it's lost forever, then we'll never get it back. And for a small city like this, it's very important to manage this and keep it in the process before we start review any application for development, whether it's for residential or for commercial. The second thing is also going through the process and develop the letters, we discover also, we also lack of the process for vacating all this right-of-way and easement in the city. So tonight, we have another item on the agenda. That's just an example. When this is reviewed, what's the value and how they're being determined? How could we just decide something on a whim at the city council meeting, instantly? There's a lack of careful evaluation. That's an important thing. The last point is important. We know we have a problem. We need to address it. The important things legally, we need to establish documentation, notification, and get this thing done on paper. Otherwise, we will be in disadvantaged position to defend the loss right away and the easement in the Vallco case. And there are a couple other things coming up, like the Canyonville and other projects, all involve easement problems. In the case of a marina, easement is not owned by the city, but by another property. But because of the easement have never been vacated by the owner, so that property never been developed over a couple of years. But the city get blamed for not to develop any housing. We all get blamed. The city was under attack by housing advocates and the news media. Okay, so I just want to remind the city council about this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ignatius. Welcome, Kitty.
Good evening, City Council. I'm representing myself only. I sent you an email this week, and I'm also speaking about the Vallco easements. The roadway easement issue, I'd like to clarify this. It was in the initial court submittal June 25th, 2018, and the entire 132-page book was incorporated by reference in October of 2018, complete with maps and the pertinent streets and highway code. I would like you to address the following regarding the Vallco Town Center SB 35 project. While the issues are in the lawsuit, there's a point asserting that the final plan set could not have been approved for different reasons, as I'm going to demonstrate. The existing roadway easements which encircled the former TGI Fridays and Alexander's, so here's Alexander's, TGI Fridays, were granted to the City of Cupertino from Vallco in 1975 and adopted by City Council Resolution 3974. They had to be vacated by a new City Council resolution in order for the final project alignment to legally conform with the conditions of the site. The roadway easements were not vacated by the city, and the alternative plan, which had been only shown in a conceptual form in the March 27th, 2018 submittal. Let's see. So this is a conceptual plan where they show a curved building at Alexander's, also at TGI Fridays, and a smaller couple of buildings. Notice that there's no way to get to the underground parking, no ramps. So it would have had to be formally completed, this plan, and if it met the requirements of SB 35, that alternative would have needed to be approved and not the set the city and property owner claimed to be approved. The Vallco Property Owner then acknowledged that the roadway easements existed in their March 27th plan submittal and provided an alternative alignment. And there is a note on this plan which says, in the event the City of Cupertino finds and determines it is not in the public interest to process and approve the vacation, relocation and rededication of the east and west side roadway and public utility easements which connect Wolfe Road to the perimeter road in the proposed configuration identified on the sheet, an alternative site and easement plan are included on sheets P0202A and P0307A. Under the California Streets and Highway Code, Section 8320 and 24, regarding vacations of roadways, it states that the legislative body will notice and hold a hearing, make findings, and those findings need to demonstrate that it is unnecessary for the present or prospective public use, and that the legislative body is adopting a resolution vacating the street, highway, or public service easement. The City of Cupertino never vacated the easements, yet accepted a set of plans and approved a set of plans for Vallco Town Center SB 35, which as of the September 21st, 2018 approval, did not show the alignment of the buildings per Plan 0202A. In fact, there was no final 0202A plan in the final set, and they reference on their tentative map that there would be an alternative plan, and they never turned it in. So for the city, the question is, will the City of Cupertino continue to allow development to proceed on a project which has neither a lawfully approved tentative subdivision map nor plans to develop lands fully under the legal ownership of the property owner? How is the city going to resolve this dilemma? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kitty. Madam City Attorney, I mean, is this something we should be putting on a future agenda to discuss this?
These items are raised in the pending litigation challenging the Vallco SB 35 project approval, and the city has taken no position in that litigation and will not be commenting on pending litigation.
Okay, I mean, regardless of what happens with that litigation, though, the issue could still exist.
The court will issue a ruling, and then we'll know the scope of that.
Regardless the court ruling, question is, for any project, this does not apply for any specific project. For any project, before it proceeds to demolition and construction, shouldn't the city make sure all the easement involved in that project is properly recorded and vacated, or if it needs to be changed, it has to be changed and record the new easement?
And
Is that a
staff can
proper
respond to
procedure?
council about that.
Okay.
So the staff will respond. Could we schedule a study session on the proper process?
The time
Because
for
I'm very
setting
confused.
new agenda items are at the end of the agenda.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
we will set it then, and I would be in favor of that as well. Jennifer Griffin.